Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Joshua Bridwell Show. This is the podcast where we talk about your personal, professional, and spiritual growth, and where I will eventually take live calls to help you go from stuck to growth. I am your host, Joshua Bridwell, and today I want to talk about something that I think is pretty entertaining. It's no surprise that AI has really taken the world by storm over the last couple of years. And AI has become just an integrated part of our lives in ways that we don't even know. But with the introduction of certain GPTs online, AI has become something that is widely available and widely used by the public. And is this something that goes without harm? Today, we are going to be talking about AI and mental health. Because, like I said, AI is not just this buzzword anymore. It's not something that we just see in movies. It's here. It's on our phones, it's in our schools, it's in our jobs, a whole bunch of different areas of our personal lives. And every time that you scroll, every time you type, every time that you speak, some form of AI is probably involved. So don't get me wrong, there is a lot of good to be had with AI if it's used properly. AI has opened doors that we didn't even imagine 10 years ago. It's helped businesses to move faster. It has helped creators to generate new ideas. I'm not going to lie, I do use AI to help me with my show on occasion, and it can make life more efficient. And like I said, I've used it to brainstorm content, to organize thoughts, or to speed up tasks that used to take me a whole bunch of hours to complete. But there's another side to this story, and it's really not being talked about enough. And that's the point of this show today. AI does take a toll on our mental health. Every single tool that we use comes with a cost, and we need to identify that cost. Cars were made to travel faster, but they also brought pollution. They brought traffic. Social media has immediately connected us to one another, but it also created comparison. It created anxiety. It created a lot of distraction, activity. And now AI is doing the same thing, right? It's a tool that can be used to help us and is being used to help us, but it does come with a cost. It gives us power while it's also draining us in ways that we don't always see. So today, we're going to slow down. We're going to look at both edges of this sword, how AI can serve us, but also how it can also silently weaken our minds. It can hurt our confidence, and it can impact the way that we lead. And, I'm going to bring some research into this to just show you that it's not my ideas. There is evidence out there to support what it is I'm talking about. The science is already pointing us in this direction. And so I've had moments where I have really felt like AI was a good friend, right? Or a business partner, something that I rely on in order to help me with my content. If I had a really busy week, deadlines were stacked, if I just wasn't having a whole bunch of ideas, I use AI. I fired up the tool, and within minutes I had outlines, I had drafts, I had ideas that would have taken me hours if I had just sat down to try and come up with them on my own. And I thought, man, this is a game changer. This is really, really cool. But then there were other times when I noticed that instead of feeling lighter, I actually felt a lot more pressure. And because here's what happened, I didn't use the time that I saved to rest. Instead, I actually just filled it with more work that probably wasn't as productive as it could have been, more to-dos, more output, and by the end of the day, I was more drained than if I had just sat down and done the work myself. And here's another thing. I also started comparing. People online often show off what they built with AI. The crazy productivity hacks, I see it now that I'm more engaged on social media as a creator. I see it all the time. People are sharing productivity hacks, or they're showing how they used AI to create 10 times the results that they had before. And it got me thinking, am I behind? Am I not using AI right? And I know that if I'm having those thoughts, I know that other people are having those thoughts too. And that comparison has created anxiety for me. And then there's also the more subtle side. I lean on AI for brainstorming, and later I realized that my creative muscle wasn't as sharp. Instead of sitting down to brainstorm on my own, I found myself mindlessly trying to go to AI, and I had to break that habit. My brain was just sitting in the passenger seat throughout this whole process, and AI I allowed to drive the car. And that's when it hit me. This tool can help. It was made to be helpful, but if I'm not careful, it can also slowly steal something from me. And this is where I really want to dive a little bit deeper, because I want to share with you what AI is doing to us mentally. And researchers are already picking up on some patterns that they've discovered are a little disturbing. There was a review on students who relied heavily on AI for essays, and what they found is that their critical thinking skills dropped. They weren't processing information themselves. The AI was doing the work, and their brains basically just clocked out. They weren't doing the work anymore. And MIT also ran a study. They looked at people who used AI to write, and the folks that used AI got the job done faster, but their brains were less engaged. Memory, recall, attention, all of that dropped in numbers. They weren't learning as deeply. They weren't really retaining as much. And I see that a lot. We are in one of the most, I'm not going to say one of the most, we are in the age with the most information at our fingertips in history. And we have this mentality of, I don't have to know the answer. I just have to know where to find the answer. Everything from search engines, but AI has made this so much worse. So here's the thing. They weren't retaining as much. And researchers are calling this phenomenon cognitive atrophy. I had surgery back in April, and I had a torn meniscus. And what happens is you develop muscular atrophy, where you are not using that muscle as much, so it gets smaller than the other muscles. You start to lose muscle mass. And so cognitive atrophy is where you are basically losing cognitive ability. If you stop working on like a leg muscle, you're going to start losing muscle. It starts to shrink. Same thing with your brain. If you let AI do all of the problem solving for you, you're going to stop exercising your mental muscle, and a lot of people already have. And over time, it gets weaker. And we are seeing it in society already. And it's not just about school, and it's not just about essays. This is something that bleeds into everyday life. And imagine this. Imagine that you just stop brainstorming for yourself altogether. You stop wrestling with problems. You stop making decisions without AI's input. You become really reliant on it. Pretty soon, you're going to lose confidence in your own ability to think. You think, I can't do this without the tool. And that creates dependence. Dependence leads to doubt, and you don't want that. On top of that, AI speeds everything up. Suddenly, the pace of work isn't human anymore. It's machine level, and the more that it speeds up, the more pressure you're going to feel to try and keep up. Deadlines get shorter, output expectations get higher, and instead of making us feel more free, it's actually something that is going to burn us out in the long run. We need to be aware of that, because at the end of the day, that's not a win. That is a trap. We need to be aware. And all of this matters because if not, we can lose our ability. Now let's shift to leadership, because this isn't just about you personally. This is also about the people that are watching you. If you are somebody in a leadership role, this can be at work, it can be in your home, it can be in your church, in your community, just anyone that sees you as a leader, anybody that you're leading, people take cues from you. If you are stressed, they're going to be stressed. If you're scattered, then they're going to be scattered. If they see that you are glued to your screens 24/7, they're going to think that's an expectation, and that's not a good thing. They're going to mirror your stress. But let's say that you model something different. If you show that it's possible to use AI as a tool without letting it control your life, if you unplug at times, if you show balance, and if you can show that even though you're using AI, you are still holding on to your humanity, that sends a really powerful message. And I don't think that that gets across in society very well today. It tells the people that you lead, hey, you're not a machine, you are a person, you do not have to live like a machine, and you shouldn't. Leadership in this era is not about who can master the newest tech out there. It's about who can stay human in the middle of it. It's huge. The leaders who thrive won't be the ones who squeeze every drop of productivity out of AI. It'll be the ones who know how to protect themselves and people's mental health and the ability to build trust and also to keep perspective in the ever-changing world of AI. Something that I'm actually curious about, and maybe I'll make an episode about this in the future, go ahead, put this in the comments section. I'm curious, do you think that people should use AI as a therapist? I have a very strong opinion on this, and I just might make an episode on it. But before I do, I would love to get your opinion. So go ahead, drop it in the comments, because people need to know how to protect their mental health and build trust and keep perspective in the middle of this changing world. Because this is the kind of leadership that stands out in 2025, and the kind of leadership that is going to, extend beyond just this year. So let's go ahead. Let's get to the part that you've probably been waiting for. What do we actually do about this? Because AI is not going away. It's going to get stronger. It might be replaced in the future. I don't know what the future holds, but in the immediate future, it doesn't look like AI is going anywhere. We're not going to be putting this genie back in the bottle, but we can decide how we are going to use it. So here are some things that I recommend for you to do if you are wanting to really stay grounded and if you're wanting to protect your mental health while also still using AI as a healthy tool. Some practical steps. Number one, you need to set technology curfews. I don't think that enough people do this. You can actually do this on your phone. You can set limits as to how long you can use certain apps. You need to decide when you're going to be done for the day. No AI, no emails, no laptop. You need to protect your time and invest in rest and to invest in relationships. You also need to do mental check-ins. Pause just a couple of times a day, 2-3 times, and ask yourself, okay, how am I feeling? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel focused? Do I feel overloaded, burned out? Because this awareness helps you to reset, hopefully before you get to burnout. I did an episode with Dr. Sarah Alzawi Davis about mental health. And in that, we talk a lot about burnout. So if you haven't checked out that episode, highly encourage you to listen to that. But you need to be aware of how you're feeling if you're truly going to avoid burnout. You need to be able to keep the human first. Don't replace real conversations with relationships or AI. You need to text a friend. You need to call a mentor. Sit down with your spouse. Keep people at the center. Because no matter how advanced AI gets, it will never truly be able to replace human connection and humanity. You have to keep the human first. You also need to protect your boundaries. If you don't have any boundaries, maybe this is a good starting place for you. You need to protect your boundaries, because just because AI lets you do more doesn't mean that you should. Productivity is not the same as purpose. You need to lead by example. If you're in leadership, your habits give others permission, so show them that it's okay to unplug, to test, and make sure that you also need to lead by example. If you are in a position of leadership, we already talked about that, your habits give permission to other people. You need to show them that it's okay to unplug, to rest, prioritize well-being. It is okay to mess up and to be human, but it's important to really connect. Now, none of these are over the top, dramatic, impossible things. A lot of times I tell people don't do everything all at once, but whenever it comes to AI and these, they are so small that they can be done all at once and won't really overwhelm you. Again, the 5 things are setting tech curfews, do mental check-ins, keep the human first, protect your boundaries, and then lead by example. Again, none of these are dramatic. They're small. They are steady practices, but they are how you make AI serve you instead of controlling you. We have to catch this early. In colleges and workplaces, I see AI being in control a lot more than it should. You need to make sure that you are using AI as a tool, not as something that controls you. And let me just say this, if you are a Christian, if you share my faith, remember, God didn't create you to be a machine. He didn't design you to run 24/7 or to measure your worth by your output. Even Jesus took time away. He withdrew, and if he needed it, we definitely need it as well. Do not let AI or technology push you into a lifestyle that God never created. Stay anchored, use wisdom, let technology be a tool in your hand, not a master over your life. So here's the ultimate takeaway. AI is a really powerful thing. AI is not the enemy, it is just a tool. It's not your savior either. It can help you, but it can also help you if you let it take over. Do not outsource your brain. Do not outsource your relationships. You need to protect your mental health. You need to use AI if you are going to advance and stay with the times, but do not let it use you. Don't fall into the cognitive atrophy. You need to use it as a tool, as it was intended. And if you also want to lead well in this world, the best thing that you can do is model balance, model empathy, model humanity. That's the kind of leadership that people are desperately needing right now, but is so absolutely absent. You need to be able to partner with it. Do not let it run your life. If this episode spoke to you, I really want you to share it with somebody who is a leader, somebody who's been wrestling with this whole AI thing too. And make sure that you download this podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching it on YouTube. Hit subscribe because we are going to continue walking down this road together. This has been another episode of the Joshua Bridwell Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next time, and as always, let's grow.